Hi everybody, welcome to the first episode of Editing with Pretty Little Actions. I'm Jamie Lynn. My name is Porcelain in the Porcelain and Peyton Pretty Little Actions. And today we're going to be editing a spookier Halloween photo because it's kind of that time of the year. And I'm doing what any mother would be doing while her husband and 2 children are sleeping. I'm editing photos. So I'm sure many of you have been in this boat before. I have a festive pumpkin spice tea. It smells really good. So I guess we should get started. Alright everyone, let's get started on our photo. So this is a photo that I took of my 2 children, Killian and Una. I took this back in October of 2012. So it's 2014 now, so it's almost 2 years old. But I just love the Halloween photo. I love how they're both looking at the camera. It's not easy to do. So what I want to say first is that initially, back in the day, I shot everything at least 2 clicks overexposed. So normally I would not shoot this bright. Like if I would go out and take a photo today, I would not shoot this bright. I found that it's so much easier to retain your colors and everything if the photo is a little bit darker, because brightening it in Photoshop is so easy, but recovering highlights and darkening something or fixing the colors of something is so much harder if the photo is overexposed. So if you guys are working in Photoshop a lot, you know that might be kind of like a noob problem, but it's one that we probably all have and we're all going to learn. So anyone that doesn't know that now, I hope that that helps you. But then again, that's just my particular style. Just do what feels natural to you. So the first thing that I really want to go over today is I want to make this photo spookier. I want it to come out having kind of a distressed, older photo feel. The first thing though that I'm going to address is kind of the eye makeup that I put around both kids. You'll see Killian, he wasn't even 1 year old here. He kind of rubbed off some of his makeup. It's not that intense, so I'm going to darken that. I might do a little bit with Una's too. But I'm going to show you guys how to do that. I'm actually going to do that using layer masks. So if you guys hate layer masks or don't know how to use them, this is going to be a great first lesson. So the first thing that I'm going to do to address this problem is I'm going to go up here to our layer and I'm going to say new fill layer, solid color. I'm going to adjust the opacity. I'm going to change the mode to overlay, and I'm going to adjust the opacity. I'm going to drop it down to like 30. I'm going to say okay. And for this, I'm going to pick just like a really dark color. Now the first thing that you're going to notice is that it just changed my entire photo. I don't want that. So what we're going to do is right here, it's created a layer mask where figuratively I would take a white paintbrush and draw, and that would take the color overlay, the whole, it would take that layer off of the photo. So what I actually want to do is go up to layer, layer mask. I'm going to delete the layer mask that we have currently, and then I'm going to go back up to layer, hit layer mask, and I'm going to hit hide all because we're going to draw this on to their faces. So what we're going to do is we're going to choose a paintbrush here. We're going to use the color white because we want this to reveal where we want this dark color to be, and I'm going to kind of try to restore or paint on some of the face paint here. Now let's adjust our brush. We have it at 30. And we can also adjust the layer. The layer opacity is pretty low as well. It's on 33. So you can definitely have some wiggle room here to play around. I'm going to kind of fix up the paint here on Killian. And see, I kind of like went into his eye a little bit there. Let me make the brush a little smaller. Fix that. So we can see it's already made a little bit of a difference. You can toggle on and off so we get a little bit more of an intense look there. I'm going to click this layer mask. I'm going to switch to the black quick because I want to hide. I definitely drew over his eye a little bit here, so I'm just going to paint a little bit in there and just kind of fix that up. I want his eye to be darker. Now we'll switch over here. We'll go to Una. She still has hers, and I kind of like the effect it has. I'm going to change the opacity on my brush a little bit, and then I'm going to a little bit on her as well. Whoops. A little bit of lag on my computer from the recording, so just gotta be mindful of that. A little bit more light on the side of her face. So this side's definitely popping more. All right, so kind of toggle this before and after. So it's, yeah, it's just a little bit more intense. Actually, I might take it off in this face just a little bit. So there you go. So let me flatten this. I'm going to layer and flatten right now. Another thing I want to address is, you know, Killian has a little drool or something right down here on his chin, so I'm going to duplicate my layer. We can just use something as simple as the spot healing brush. Normally though, I'm definitely clone stain first, so let's go with that. Let's do clone stain. Come in close here. You can definitely see what I'm talking about. So for faces, I don't know, normally I'm gonna put it on like 30 output. Around 70 is not bad. Want the color shading to match as closely as possible. It's a little bit darker there. We got a little bit of shirt in his face. Got a couple little marks right here. A bigger drool mark right there. Oops. Still a little bit of lag. I don't like to do too much editing on faces. For kids, I definitely just really try to clean them up. There's always dirt, there's always boogers. I mean, you guys have seen it all, I'm sure. Just kind of check it out. None of the dirt up here really bothers me though, just because, maybe that. Just because, you know, it's already supposed to be spooky and weird, and we're probably gonna have a lot of grain in the photo, just to kind of give it an old-timey feeling. Okay, so it's not perfect, but I'm having a little bit hard time with the slight lag in the computer because I'm recording. So we're just gonna flatten this down. All right, so normally I would definitely I would pop the eyes somehow. I would increase the sharpness, I would increase the shine, but in this photo, they have so much catch light. Both of them have so much catch light in their eyes that honestly, once I edit the photo and there's sharpened layers and there's contrast layers, those things are gonna pop even more, so I'm not gonna touch them at all. I did just notice this little mark here on Una. I'm gonna grab that quick, I'm gonna fix it. All right, guys, so I fixed the little mark under Una's chin there, and I cleaned up just a couple other little things too. But next what we want to do is we want to check out our actions. So I'm going to click on my little action dialog right here. It's this little triangle. You're going to see we are going to use today our Pretty Little Actions, Porcelain and Peyton's Helena's Harvest. So Helena's Harvest is so awesome. It's so perfect for like awesome autumn photos. It really picks up on all the fall tones that are outside and the leaves turning colors. it also has a much more dramatic effect than something like our first series, which is Enchanted Garden. You know, that one is great for everyday photos, great for summer, great for indoors. You know, it's really versatile, but Helena's Harvest definitely kind of like ups the ante a little bit, and it takes your photos to a whole new level. It's a lot more artistic, and you know, of course, every layer is interactable. You can change it, turn it off, or whatever. So it can still be for every day, but it definitely will deliver a better product. So what we're gonna run today is we're gonna run Mischief. It's a black and white action. It's super distressed, distorted. It has a really old world feel to it, like an old photograph that maybe you dug up. As opposed to being more black and white, it's a little bit more kind of gray and white. It's gray. It's got a lot of grayish tones, so it looks very faded, like really rustic, and I think it's really perfect for this photo. It's also pretty grainy, so if you're looking for something that's just this gorgeous distressed kind of Halloween photo or whatever, this is the one for you. Alright guys, so I've just ran the Mischief action. So this is what it'll look like when it's finished here. It'll be in a thumbnail over here on the side in your layers dialog box. What we can do is we can click this little down arrow and we'll get to see all of the thumbnails of all the layers, which is pretty awesome. So what I see here is a photo that's just way too bright. This action works amazing on, you know, any photo that's a little bit darker or a little bit underexposed, which, like I was saying earlier, is generally how I would shoot these days. But this photo is a little bit bright to begin with, so I'm gonna have to do some adjustments. There's a couple of layers in here that I'm just gonna probably just turn off, such as light and shadows. I want that contrast. I want those darker shadows. I'm gonna turn that off. Lighten, I actually think is zero. It's at 10%, so I am gonna turn that off. Same with our mid-tone boost. I'm going to kill that as well. And then there's this optional layer here. It's an intensify option, so I am going to click that on as well. You'll see it'll get just intensified everything for sure. It's properly named. The darken, I might click this up if you, for sure, darken this photo up. I just feel like it has a little bit more drama with it darker. We've got a center light on, which is awesome for, you know, brightening up their faces. That's what we want is in focus. I'm also going to pump that vignette though way up, so it's just a lot darker. So the photo is super grainy. I like the, you know, I like how it's looking. I still think the background is definitely too bright, but there's always things that we can do for that. So here's the Mischief action. I think Haunted, I think, might lighten it up a little bit too. Yeah. So you can see what it looks like without that Haunted on, which is actually like a super cool photo. You know, it's just standard black and white. That Haunted layer really adds that gray tone and it flattens the image a lot. But here, when you take that off, you've got all that contrast. So guys, this is as simple as a few mouse clicks. I'm going to put it back on though, and I'm just going to drop it down. I do like how it looks kind of older and distressed, and you know, shadows and whatnot are flattened, but I do want some of that contrast, and I do want some of that, you know, drama that photo has without the Haunted turned all the way up. There's also a green level. If you guys are into green, or if you are using this action and maybe you don't have a full frame camera, the grain might look way crazy or too intense. Just you know, drop this layer opacity down. You know, it is an overlay layer though, so bump up your contrast a little bit just to compensate for the amount of contrast, and it should still be totally fine. So with that, you know, the photo is, I mean, really great. It's really where I like it. At first I was thinking that maybe, you know, the background was too bright, but really after looking at it for a minute, I like how the kids are definitely singled out. You know, if I would darken that background a little bit, you know, they might kind of fall into it a little bit because they are like dark and high contrast right now. So maybe I'll just leave it really bright and they'll just be like, you know, really cool there, and just the forefront of this like just glowing white haunting background, which is actually really neat. So with that, from here it's pretty simple. You're just gonna save and export however you normally like to, you know, whatever your type is. I always save 2 files. I'm gonna flatten this image, and yep, discard any hidden layers, anything you don't want, just get rid of. Let's see how this looks here. So now what I was saying is I always save 2 different versions of this. I'm going to go to Save As. We can change it to Photoshop, or JPEG, I mean. We're going to change it from Photoshop to a JPEG. This is going to be my full size, full version of this photo. From here now, I always make it smaller for the web. And lately, Facebook has just been massacring photos. I mean, guess it's technically been that way for years. You guys might have a width that you're comfortable with, or whatever. But for whatever reason, default, I always go for the width to be 1200 pixels. It's just a standard that I've had. If you guys have your own standard, just go with it. You know, it's all relative. It's all whatever you want. I always drop a watermark on. I don't know how people feel about watermarks. It's great. Have your little signature though on there. There you go. There's my name, there's my kids. It's looking pretty good. Maybe the watermark's a little big, so I'm gonna drop that down to 6. I've been putting it, you know, kind of near their faces. That way, if anybody wants to like crop it down, at least, you know, hopefully part of the watermark ends up in there. But you never know. People steal photos and do weird things these days. So again, we're gonna flatten this. And then I always do another save here. File, Save As. Keep the title, I just add WM for watermark at the end. That's how I know it's my web version. Save in highest quality. Boom, good to go. So you guys, if you love this tutorial, you know, give me a thumbs up or whatever. Talk to me about what you like, what you don't like. It's my first time, so I hope that you enjoyed it. I'll also include a link on here for Helena's Harvest so that you guys can go check that out, because I mean, honestly, this time of year, I mean, today is August 30th, we're coming right into Halloween. That's so cool for this time of year, and I really hope that you enjoy it, and hope that you got some, at least a little bit of education on Photoshop and some of the processes or techniques that I use, because everyone does everything different, and I think that's really cool, because there's totally no wrong way to do it. So just keep rolling the way you're rolling and just love what you do, you know, have fun with it. So, you know, have a great time, you guys. Thanks for watching.